Hello guys, I'm Tom, and today we're going to find out who the Tall Man is. One of the most terrifying, complex, and disturbing characters in horror cinema is the Tall Man. In the dark corners of horror films, there are figures that don't need fame to spread fear. And among those figures stands a towering, silent, and chilling presence. The Tall Man. Although his name may not resonate as loudly as other horror icons, his presence alone is enough to leave an unforgettable mark on those who dare to look. With his tall and slender figure, expressionless face, and slow yet relentless walk, the Tall Man has been spreading terror since his first appearance in the 1970s. But his story goes far beyond what we see on screen. This mysterious being is the sinister soul of the Phantasm saga, a series of films that dared to break the rules of traditional horror. Accompanied by his deadly floating spheres and an army of deformed creatures, the Tall Man has proven to be much more than a simple villain. He is a force, an enigma, a nightmare with a purpose. The most disturbing part is that, at some point, he was human. That's why in this video, I'll take you on a deep journey through the history and enigmatic origins of the Tall Man. We'll analyze his evolution across the different Phantasm movies, unraveling each fragment of his mysterious past. Later, we'll explore in detail his unsettling physical appearance, his disturbing personality, and the extraordinary abilities and rare weaknesses that make him one of the most unsettling figures in horror cinema. His name was Jebediah Morningside, a doctor and mortician who served during the Civil War, treating the dead with respect, until his curiosity about what lies beyond led him down a path with no return. Driven by his obsession with death and the unknown, Jebediah built a machine capable of opening portals between dimensions. What began as a quest to understand immortality ended up transforming him into something unrecognizable. He crossed to the other side, and what came back was no longer him. When he returned, his soul seemed to have vanished. What remained was a cold, calculating figure, devoid of empathy. The Tall Man. Some believe he was possessed by an entity from another realm. Others say his soul was fragmented and replaced by an alien consciousness. Whatever the truth is, his humanity disappeared completely. His purpose is as dark as his origin: to collect bodies, manipulate death, and expand his control from the shadows. He settles in small towns as the new mortician, waiting for the right moment. Then the disappearances begin. The dead do not rest. They are turned into servants, soldiers from another world. Among his most disturbing creations are hooded, hunched-over creatures, shrunken human bodies, reanimated to serve him. But the most horrifying part is that these same victims are also used as raw material for his deadly spheres. Their brains are extracted and sealed inside floating metallic devices, turning them into living weapons. And despite his power, the Tall Man doesn't seek to conquer the entire world. His strategy is far more twisted: to infiltrate silently, wipe out communities from within, and erase all traces. He always leaves behind a believable story, an accident, a chemical spill, any excuse that hides the truth. His story is deeply intertwined with the brothers Mike and Jody Pearson and their friend Reggie. It all begins after a car accident takes the lives of Mike and Jody's parents. Amid their grief, Mike starts noticing unsettling details. Something doesn't add up about the town's new mortician. Guided by a fortune teller and her granddaughter, Mike confirms the unthinkable. The town is being hunted by an entity that plays with death, as if it were his own. Convincing his brother Jody won't be easy. But together, along with Reggie, they embark on a battle against the impossible. And so begins the nightmare that shaped the Phantasm universe. And now that we've fully unraveled his story and origin, it's time to take a closer look at the terrifying figure of the Tall Man up next. We'll explore his creepy physical appearance, the most disturbing traits of his personality, and his abnormal behavior. I'll also reveal in detail his most chilling abilities, and those few weaknesses that could make the difference between survival or an eternity trapped under his control. Imposing, disturbing, and unforgettable. That's the Tall Man, a figure who, from the very first moment he appears on screen, leaves an indelible mark. His silhouette is unmistakable, a being as thin as a stretched-out shadow at sunset, and so tall he seems out of place in this world. He easily towers over 2 meters, and his face, aged by time, reveals an old man with white or grayish hair, always dressed in a dark suit and funeral-style shoes, as if death were either his only destiny or his profession. This outfit is no coincidence. Many believe it comes from his former life as Jebediah Morningside, a doctor and mortician who tended to the fallen during the Civil War. A solemn figure, with his feet on the ground and his eyes already set on the beyond. The Tall Man rarely needs to speak. His face, his presence, and that subtle gesture, a single raised eyebrow as if reading your soul, say more than 1,000 words. But don't be fooled by his appearance. Beneath that calm expression lies an entity of immense power. He can lift coffins with one hand, manipulate objects with his mind, and most chillingly, any part of his body he loses can turn into a living insect-like creature. And as if that weren't enough, those lost limbs grow back. Among his most terrifying abilities is shape-shifting. The Tall Man can transform into other people and even take on female forms to lure and eliminate his victims. He is a master of deception, visual, sensory, and psychological. But he does not operate alone. He's surrounded by an army of deformed, loyal beings, from reanimated corpses to small hooded creatures called lurkers, created from compressed human bodies. There are also the grave diggers, normal-sized humanoids wearing gas masks that come from desecrated graves. And then there are his most iconic weapons, the flying spheres, known as sentinels. These metallic spheres are a nightmare made into technology. They can drill, cut, shoot laser beams, and most disturbingly, they contain miniature human brains. It's speculated that these spheres are connected to the lurkers, as if sharing a collective mind, or perhaps, as if the Tall Man himself controls them all at once. This being is not only strong and cunning, he is almost omniscient. He has the ability to travel between dimensions, moving through time and space, as if they were open doors before him. That technology, the result of his years studying alchemy and life after death, allows him to break the boundaries of reality. Thanks to that knowledge, he built a machine capable of opening portals between worlds, and it was that very machine that transformed him into what he is today. Despite appearing immortal, he is not entirely invulnerable. There are moments when extreme cold and certain sound frequencies are able to weaken him. Some characters suggest that his homeworld is incredibly warm, which is why he reacts in pain to ice and resonating silence. Now then, beyond his strength and powers, there is one constant that intrigues both characters and fans alike: his mysterious obsession with Mike Pearson. From the first movie, the Tall Man seems to have a very particular interest in young Mike. He watches him, pursues him, but also protects him. There are moments where he even seems to show affection or concern for him. He asks Reggie to look after him. He saves him from suicide, and in one of the most enigmatic scenes of the saga, he claims to be the only one who truly understands Mike's soul. This has led many to believe that Mike might be his successor, that, deep down, the Tall Man wants to turn him into someone like himself. Reggie even confirms it. He wants you to be like him, Mike. But if the Tall Man is immortal, why seek a replacement? Or is it that his final purpose goes beyond death? One thing is certain: the Tall Man isn't out to conquer the world on a large scale. He doesn't want governments or empires. He prefers the small, the intimate, to destroy communities from within, erase entire towns, and disappear without a trace, leaving behind nothing but an accident, a chemical spill, or simple oblivion. And none of this would have been possible without actor Angus Scrimm, whose performance gave life to this sinister figure throughout the entire Phantasm saga. His portrayal, silent, elegant, and terrifying, became the soul of one of horror cinema's most unsettling villains. And that would be everything we know so far about the chilling entity known as the Tall Man, a figure who, despite not having the same level of fame as other horror icons, manages to leave an unforgettable mark with every one of his appearances. Personally, I think he's one of the most disturbing villains in cult cinema, and his blend of science fiction, horror, and the supernatural makes him even more fascinating. But now I want to hear your opinion. Had you heard about the Tall Man and his universe in Phantasm before? Do you think he's one of the most underrated villains in the genre? And if you ever saw him in the darkness of a hallway, would you run or freeze in fear? Drop your answers in the comments, and let me know what you think of this sinister figure. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, share it with someone who also enjoys classic horror, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any of my new videos.